at strategies for overcoming tension in your playing. For pianists, this is an area that we all struggle with, and unfortunately, as we increase the level of complexity of our pieces and our technique adapts to that, tension always seems to be right there. So there are some strategies that we can use to help alleviate that tension. So I'm hoping that these ideas will be a springboard for new ways for you to practice. Let's take a look at some of these strategies. To give you a better idea of what tension-free playing feels like, I'd like to ask you to stand up and let your arms hang freely from the shoulders. This feeling is the feeling we want to strive for when we're playing. And you'll notice that your fingers in your hand naturally cups into a very beautiful position. And this is also what we're striving for, this relaxed hand position. I want you to keep this in mind as we look at some of these strategies. The first strategy involves being aware of the position of the thumb. If the thumb can stay close to the other fingers, then you're going to keep the hand relaxed. As soon as we stretch out of it further away, then we're increasing the tension in our hand. Remember that nice relaxed position when we were standing up a minute ago. So playing this in slow motion, my thumb just stays close by the other fingers. Now let's see what that looks like with the hand overextended and the thumb really stretched out. It's as though I'm trying to cover as many notes as possible, but that doesn't always work very well. Instead, just let the hand stay relaxed and trust that your fingers will get to the notes in time. In fact, I haven't done any scientific research on this, but I believe a relaxed hand can move quicker than a tight hand, but I don't know that for sure. I don't understand all the physics behind it. The left hand, the same is true. We have this arpeggiated chord, and I might be tempted to just try to grab all the notes at the same time, but that's not really necessary, and it also creates tension in the hand. So I can avoid that tension, again, by keeping the thumb very close to the second finger. And it feels so much better instead of playing it like this. The second strategy is to be aware of tension that might happen before you have to move. It can creep in there because you're anticipating the move, and so you start to tighten up or tense up. A place where this happened to me was in the Lilacs measure 55, where we have this passage, and then we get to this E flat. So if I play with the thumb here, which tends to make sense, because then I can easily get to there, but it feels really cramped and just it's not as clean. So I believe I need to start here, keep the thumb here, but then that gives me the issue of here, and then I've got to get to there, and the passage moves pretty quickly. So sometimes it's better to just finish the idea and then move. And I'll have a much cleaner sound rather than trying to move ahead of time. Okay, this next technique, I'll admit, looks a bit strange, but it works. You're going to take each note and do a little shake on it. Think of it as shaking out the tension. And it doesn't have to be up to tempo. Obviously, you can't really do it up to tempo. So don't worry about any rhythmic precision. Just practice the movement. This next strategy is similar to the previous one, but we're going to do a trill from one note to the next. And then the second note to the third note. Notice I'm keeping the thumb really relaxed, close to the second finger here. This is achieving also the same thing that the second strategy achieves, is just getting the hand used to feeling that relaxed movement. Now let's suppose you have an arpeggiated passage that covers a large span. For instance, in Rachmaninov's Lilacs in measure 34, we have this. So we have to get from here to here. So mentally, that seems so far. And while that's going on, the right hand has to get to here, from this F to this F here. Well, again, we're going to need to keep the hand relaxed, and it's possible. The first octave in the left hand, I immediately let go of the bottom note, instead of keeping it like that. And the pedal will help us out, so we don't need to worry about that note being held 3 counts. Same thing right here. I might be tempted to stretch my hand out to grab these notes here, but I don't need to. Right hand. I want to keep my hands open like this, but I don't need to. Okay, so let's put it together. And let me play it again with the hands staying open. It feels so awkward, but this feels so relaxed. And finally, one more strategy. When you are holding a note, avoid continuing to hold it. For example, in the beginning of Rachmaninoff's Lilacs, we have this. Where I have the melody comes in here. Once I strike that note, there's nothing else I can do to that tone. The hammer hits the string and falls back down. But we have a tendency to really continue pushing the note or the key down, and that's creating tension. Right now, that's exactly what I'm doing, instead of just relaxing the hand and letting the weight of my finger keep the note down. So be aware of holding notes longer than you need to and pressing down on those notes, because that will also create some tension. I also want to stress the importance of having a really good mental image. While these exercises give you some concrete things that you can do, you also need a really good mental picture of the sound that you're hoping to achieve. And that is a wide open area and is subject to personalities and the style of the piece and your own creativity. So hopefully this has been helpful to you, and I wish you all the best in your practice. Thank you so much for watching.